Hello, 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 and welcome to the June 2019 recap of everything that's been going on my Disney blog project. Got a lot accomplished this month, so I'm very excited to share with you. Let's go ahead and jump right in with some of the expectations. So what I wanted to complete was I wanted to put in all of the park info information. I wanted to make sure that all of the details pages existed and all of the listing pages existed. That's both for the administrative side and for the user side. I want to make sure that everything is populated as well. I'm actually building a garage green screen studio so I can shoot some videos here at the house and have a lot of fun with that. Small thing that I wanted to actually list the restaurants, shops, and attractions and things inside of each of the lands, locations, and hotels. So it'll show you some of the random shops inside of Disneyland and restaurants and attractions. It'll show you all of those things in, say, like Fantasyland or Frontierland or Buena Vista Street, and then of course it'll show you all of those available in the Disney hotels as well, which often have multiple restaurants and things like that, shops and things. So I want you to be able to see those when you're looking at the hotel. Basically from here on out, I'm going to be writing 2 blog posts every single month through the launch, the soft launch in November. Just to make sure when we actually launch things, we will actually have some content to be able to review. I am killing off my test database for all of my blog entries and starting fresh. So we're actually writing in the real database this time instead of a test one. And then just as a matter of housekeeping, I am creating my own expenses spreadsheet for now to keep track of the money that I am starting to spend on this project. So that's starting to come up. I need to make sure I can keep track of everything. We'll come back to the slide for July's expectations. I actually completed everything on this list except for all of the details for the park info. I think that's going to be a rolling goal because there is just so much to it that it's going to take quite a bit of extra time in order to get things moved forward. But an awful lot of it is there, certainly enough to actually build everything else that I need, and I'll just add the extra information when I have a chance. So jumping right in, here's the page you saw at the beginning. This is basically everything that exists inside of Disneyland, Disney California Adventure, and the downtown Disney area. So you can actually filter through and see things like all of the attractions across all 3. You'll be able to see the hotels that are available. Right now it's just the Disney hotels. Kind of wondering if I'm going to include non-Disney hotels as well. Right now that's not on the docket, but it could be. All of the lands that are available, the locations, these would be the 3 primary locations that you can see. And then the restaurants that are available and the shops that are there as well. You can see obviously a few things are missing here, just don't have all of the details quite put in all the way yet. Inside of each of these, I put a fun, just a little hover effect inside of each of the tiles so that you can just see some motion and have a little bit of fun with the pages as we go. So as you hover over it, you can actually see it wobbling around, and if you're looking at the text, you can see it's actually popped out a little bit into a 3D looking space. And if you happen to be looking on it on a mobile device, you can basically touch anything that's not text, and it'll do the wobble so you can see it on your phone or tablet as well. It actually looks really sharp on your screen. So I'm very happy with the way that that ended up turning out. Also has a little piece of information down here in the bottom. Of course, Disneyland and Downtown Disney have a monorail station, and it'll tell you exactly where that's at. You can see that each different type has a different thing in the corner. So for things like restaurants, it has a price as far as ranking 1, 2, 3, or 4. The type of cuisine that it has available there. The land just simply shows what location it's in. This is inside of Disneyland. Alice in Wonderland is an attraction. It's a ride as opposed to, say, a parade or a show or that type of thing. And each of these you'll see has its own different piece. And then, of course, some of them have a must-do flag as things that you should not miss when you are going through it. So just wanted to make sure to add a few of those fun pieces. So you can see all of those there. Inside of the individual attractions, you'll have extra filters in the future as far as only seeing the attractions in Disneyland or only seeing the ones that are kind of appropriate for an age group, say preteens or your young kids, or your teenagers if you're looking to avoid those other younger kid attractions, things like that. So each different section will have its own set of appropriate filters. So for instance, if you're looking at lands, you can filter by the lands that are just in Disneyland or just in California Adventure, or lands that that have shops or restaurants or attractions, things like that. So you'd be able to have an awful lot of those filters available to you. Inside of each of these areas, it has just a basic intro video showing the attraction, or in this case, the park that's available to you. The share feature is the same that you saw in the blog entries. Moves across, so we covered that in a previous monthly video. This will actually activate the search. I'll come back to that one, so you can search through. It has the address for Disneyland. You can view it on Google Maps should you so need to. Google Maps is a little bit slow because I am in incognito mode, so it doesn't have any cache to go with. But it'll load up the map that's there, and then you can send an email or visit the website. The web application here actually knows if you are going to be sending an email to an email address, or if, in the case of Disneyland here, you're sending an email through a form. And so this will load up the actual form for Disneyland instead of trying to send an email. So the component is smart and knows that. The Google Maps did pop up with the address there, so you'll have that also. And then, of course, visiting the website. Some basic information. This says monorail station, just a little bit of history on Disneyland itself, where you can find the monorail location since it doesn't happen. Things like the opening day, different trivia bits will be here on the right side. Inside of each of these, you can see it showing you a couple of the lands that are available. Disneyland has New Orleans Square, Critter Country, and Frontierland, of course. Disneyland has these 3 attractions. Of course, it has more. You can see more of those. And then, the restaurants and shops and things, you can see those also. And then as you actually go through, let's say I wanted to look at fantasy spelled correctly. Anything inside of fantasy, it will show you, and the text links to here so you can see those. If I wanted to go into Fantasyland, I've got the same information. This one, it's showing me that Disneyland is here. Fantasyland was open since day 1. There's some basic information about it here. Again, I don't have all of the information here. Obviously, I have several of the attractions there. They just don't know they're part of Fantasyland yet. I need to go through and add that extra information. And it's found a couple of blog posts that specifically mention Fantasyland and some of the things inside. So you'll be able to go through and read those blog entries as well. I'll come back to that in a moment. So the list is good. The details are good. You can see in the bottom right corner some of the information is there based on what it is that you're looking for. And those filters are all working correctly for you. So very happy about that. On the admin side, just log in with my super secure password. The park info, same thing. You can you can see the view each of these by the filter that's there. See the lands, hotels, restaurants, all of those type of things. You can add one. I think I showed that off on a previous visit, and now you can actually go through and fill out all of the individual fields that are available to you. This is where I'll be updating the land information for all of the previous attractions that weren't there as well, but just kind of give a basic information piece to it. So that'll be very good and good to do. In addition, I've also added the ability to insert an image or a movie inside of any of the text fields. This is actually the same component used for the blog entries and a lot of my other text typing. And since I'm building the text editor itself from scratch, adding those things has been excuse me, a little bit of a challenge. A fun challenge, but just something I haven't done before. So that's been very good. I'll also be able to add hyperlinks, which I simply ran out of time to do, but that was the next thing on the table. To be able to link things seems kind of important. But as you can see, the details are working. Excuse me. A little tickle in my throat. But you can see all of the details that are there. and can go through it and edit anything. Pardon me, my apologies. So the admin side and the consumer side are both there and both working correctly. Let's see. I also mentioned that I wanted to build a garage studio, and I have actually done that. So let me give you a quick walkthrough. It's a little bit of a mess, not totally finalized yet, but all of the pieces are there, so I should be all good. So like I said, I've taken basically a couple of cans of green paint, lined up my walls from top to bottom, all the way up there, and then all the way down to the bottom, even though, of course, you won't be seeing quite that high. I also did it on the corner of my wall, so with, say, this view here, I can shine a light to make sure that both colors are fully bold, so you don't have that seam that's there. But I can actually widen it out and have kind of a diagonal shot that's right here. I can also look just at the one wall if I need something a little bit wider, or I can go back to the original wall if I need something just a little bit narrower, but maybe with a little bit of additional light to go in. Speaking of lights, I do have all of the lighting available as well. So I got my light kit. I haven't opened it yet, but it's here and available. Also have a reflector. I'll be using 3-point lighting for the studio. So I wanted to make sure I had all of the pieces for that. Since I haven't unpacked it, it may as well be fair to show you that I'm actually using this light kit from Amazon. I'm not using their green screen, but I loved that it came with 2 of the pass-through umbrella lights and a couple of the soft boxes as well. So the soft boxes will be pointed at the green walls to make sure everything is lit correctly and smoothly in the case of that crease. And then the umbrella lights, one of them will go through as a spot. The other one will actually be up top in order to provide some backlighting, and then the reflector that you saw in the image here will be used as a kind of a fill light on the side to kill off the shadows. So all of those are there, which is certainly very exciting. And then the last thing that I wanted to do is actually work on the blog itself. So I actually have a few blog entries now. This one's kind of in progress. That's the next one. But it started just to kind of see the fun that's there, just different things that just kind of placeholders. But the real good ones are inside of here. So I have the ability to just kind of show off how to never lose your Disney park tickets again. This is a little bit embarrassing because it is not loaded, and it should have loaded by now. Guess I'll have a little bit of a hiccup to look into when it's going, you know why that's not loading my information? That's actually... I will need to look into the timing of that and make sure that that's going correctly, of course. Again, graphics are all temporary, so I have a main image and a background image, which happens to have an awful lot of black. It just shows the author, of course, the blog information, and just a whole bunch of information on how to make sure that you can keep track of your tickets, don't ever lose them. It has the fun quote. We've looked at this before. It's pure CSS, so that's an awful lot of fun, but a little hard to highlight it. But that's been a lot of fun. Still has all of the ability to share it. It's under the lists category, and then just all of this fun information down here. I'll be adding some images and videos to it as we go. But since I didn't have the ability when I wrote this blog, they're not there yet. This is the search function that it was looking for. So I'm going to whittle that down a bit as well, just to eliminate the time. But the blog entries are there and are complete short of images. So I'm going to let that just go through and out. But those blogs are done and going. Of course, they're on the finalized blog, so all of those other placeholders are gone. And then just the little spreadsheet, which I will not share, but I do have the ability to track my expenses, make sure that everything is going through correctly. So, quite happy with the progress that I've got done in June. July is going to start some more fun as I work on graphics for the site. So, awful lot of icons, hero images, get rid of a lot of that temporary artwork that I'm borrowing from basically Google searches, which will not appear in the final site. Backgrounds, headers. I will also be building the social media pages and setting up my Amazon account for my S3 buckets, so that I can actually have a place to store my images, because obviously those should not be part of the actual site code. Images should be separate, just as a matter of best practice. So again, writing 2 blogs, it'll be another piece from here on out. So you saw the one that was started there, and I'm going to start shooting a couple videos. Really don't want to do that over the summer because I am located in Arizona, and it was I think around 118 today. I'm not keen to go sit in my garage under hot lights for an hour or two to figure that out. So the videos will be very light until the fall and the temperature drops a bit, but I do want to get started, just get things done. I actually shot a couple earlier today, so you'll see those up on YouTube in the next few months as well. But very excited for June's progress, very excited for how July looks. Also spent a week vacation with my family, so that was kind of nice to unwind a little bit and regroup. One of the things that I did was one of the challenges for blog writers was to sit down in an isolated space and just the challenge was to write out 100 topics so that you don't run out of things to say, which I thought was a fantastic idea. So I went through and spent part of my week just writing down ideas for things that I'd want to write about, good or bad, whether I use them or not, just get them out on paper. And I ended up coming up with a little over 200. So I'm very excited for content for the site, both written in blogs and created videos and other types of content. So should not run out for a very, very, very long time. I'm really excited for you guys to be able to see it and consume it. Everything, of course, will be free. I don't intend to have any paid tiers, at least not initially, and all of the functionality that you would need for planning a trip and preparing it, everything will be free. That's the goal. I think at this point, well, everything's kind of in the planning stages. Ultimately, if you would like to use my site kind of as a repository for your family photos over a long period of time, and we're talking, years, that may end up being a paid tier. But other than that, short-term storage, all of that is coming eventually in phase 2, and all of it's intended to be free. So I'm very excited for you guys to see that. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the tour, and we will see you again in July. Thanks so much.